Many thanks for taking the time to be briefed on UNDP's resilience-based development response to the Syria crisis. You're meeting today as the international community prepares for the Geneva II talks, aimed at resolving this complex political crisis and preventing more innocent Syrians from being killed, injured, internally displaced, or forced to seek refuge abroad. The numbers of Syrians affected by the crisis to date are simply staggering. More than 100,000 dead, 6.5 million internally displaced, 2.3 million taking refuge in Lebanon, Jordan, Iraq, Turkey and Egypt, and 9.3 million dependent on humanitarian assistance. The political and humanitarian dimensions of the crisis have been recognised from its beginning. But there is now, fortunately, widespread appreciation that this is also a development crisis, affecting not only Syria, but the whole sub-region. The conflict for Syria is estimated to have rolled back its human development progress by some 35 years, with more than half the population, that's 12.6 million people, now living in poverty, and 4.4 million living in extreme poverty. We see refugees now making up around 20% of the population in Lebanon and 10% in Jordan. Those numbers are expected to rise this year, adding to the severe pressures already felt by both countries. UNDP's resilience-based development approach supports communities in Syria and the neighbours to cope with immediate needs coming from the crisis, to recover from the impacts of the crisis, and to sustain recovery over the longer term. The approach we're taking fosters greater coherence across the humanitarian and the development dimensions of the response to the crisis, and enables the scaling up of investment in national development processes at this very critical time. The Kuwait II Pledging Conference for Syria is very important for the humanitarian response, but it should also encompass support for critical development efforts. I hope that today's meeting will convince you of the need to expand the scope of the response to the Syria crisis, and I'd urge all participants here to communicate the outcome of this meeting to respective capitals and partners so that we can ensure the highest level of engagement and support for the greatly needed development response to the crisis at the Kuwait meeting. Thank you for being at our briefing, and I wish you all a very productive meeting.